Hey, Becky, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so we're 2 weeks into customer journey mapping. Last week, we spoke about customer awareness and how to get customers to know that you exist. This week, we're going into engagement. And so to be clear, engagement is when a potential customers start to get to know the brand and they might start engaging. So commenting on a post, perhaps checking out a website. Am I right in explaining it that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's half the story for sure. Valuable engagement I see is two-way. So I might attempt to engage you in a conversation, but we engage only when you participate as well.
Yeah, got you. All right, so both sides engage. Excellent.
Or at least the feeling of both of you being engaged. So it doesn't actually have to be two people communicating, but it needs to feel like it's a mutual engagement.
Okay, so how do we work on getting our best customers to engage?
Okay, so this is when you want to look at each step in the customer journey and think about how you can get them to the end of the journey more effectively and more efficiently through engagement. So let's say, for example, one of the goals at the end of the journey is that I want them to have told 5 others about my business. Rather than asking them for 5 people at the end when you get to the referral part of the customer journey, you can consider ways to achieve this throughout their experience. So in the awareness stage, I might offer a free resource of value, which they can share with others through providing their email or their social handle or whatever. Just make sure whatever you're asking for of that person is the information that's most valuable to your chosen awareness tactics. In the acquisition stage, you might offer an opportunity for their friends to access this acquisition value as well. In the activation stage, you might find ways for them to invite their friends to participate. In the retention phase, you might actually find ways for your customers to access more value if their friends were involved. In the revenue stage, you might offer a bonus if they buy 2, like one for a friend, and be able to share it with them. And then at the referral stage, you can actually start incentivizing referral strategies where they access more benefits by being involved in your focused awareness, acquisition, and activation tactics.
So really engagement, it can be a stage by itself in terms of our first part of engaging together, but really you're trying to build that engagement throughout the customer journey, right?
Absolutely. Multiple places throughout the whole journey.
Okay, so it feels like I spend my whole life on social media. Do you have any business hacks that you can share here?
Yeah, so I actually highly recommend finding out what your ideal or best customers' ideal experience is using social media and work with this. So I'm an example where I never scroll on social media feeds, so I would never see an ad. But I love buying things online, and I utilize, for example, Facebook Marketplace to bargain hunt luxury, long-term, and more sustainable products nearly every day. So knowing this, if I was your target customer and you learned a number of your ideal customers utilize social media the same way I do, ads in a newsfeed would never work. Instead, let's say you're an affordable luxury fashion brand, perhaps building a small online community where we can share our best places to find bargain luxury furniture, decor, and clothes might be the way to go, where we can share each other's opinions on prices, and you can, actually we can start seeing your brand and basically align that brand with how we live our lives and our values and how we like our purchasing decisions. And by doing this, you'll actually build rapport, you build trust, and you'll also learn insider tricks, habits, and our purchasing behaviors as well.
So to start with, I go to where you are and we start having conversations. I find out what you like, and then I create that space for you within my business so we can have more engagement. Is that?
Absolutely. I mean, so people would see me, let's say, I work with tech companies, I'm, accessible on all social media platforms. They'd be like, this person's really active. And I can tell you, never click on an icon and scroll. I just don't have the time to do it. Where my passion is interior design on the side, and I work with people and help them with their home. So if I have a spare moment and I'm on Marketplace or places where I'm looking for bargains. So if I've got a community to go to and you're there because you're aware that that's how I operate and that that's how I use social media, then instead of putting ads, assuming I'll see them because you see I'm an active social media person, you're actually going to get in front of me and I'm actually going to see you.
Mm. And I only get to know that if I speak to you, right?
Absolutely. Spending time with me. Yep. And that's the hardest part. That's what people put off the most. It's really spending time and learning.
Mm. So why is it so important that we're talking to our best customers?
Yeah. So I actually, I love the quote by Erica Hall for this one, which is, you can learn valuable things asking the right people the wrong questions. But if you're talking to the wrong people, it doesn't matter what you ask. So I would really just focus on that, is getting to the right people, spending time with them. And it doesn't matter if you're asking the wrong questions, you'll be learning from them.
Mm. And creating that engagement, two-way engagement,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how would I measure an engagement strategy?
This will really depend on the engagement strategies you're employing. From a high level perspective, the formula I've seen to determine like profits for e-commerce, for example, is where you multiply visitors by conversion rates and by the lifetime cash value of the customer. And then from that, you subtract the variable costs in achieving the sale. At the most basic level though, start at the end. So what story do you want to tell? Work backwards, looking at all the points in the customer journey and identify what data you need to know if you're on track to achieving your ideal success.
And how often would you pull together that data to see if you are on track?
I like to look at every day if I can. There are certain data points that would change each day. There are certain data points that would change each week, and there are some that would change monthly. It really depends on what your engagement strategy is and how involved you are and what you're doing manually, what you're automating. And based on that data, you know, there are some things people might look at certain points that wouldn't change their strategy. So you want to look at the numbers when you know it will impact your strategy. And you can automate a lot of that too. So you might know that if this is the result, I need to do X, and you can start finding ways and getting help from those around you to automate that. So it triggers, almost like triggers in this opportunity where it hits that number, it tells you, it emails you, whatever that looks like. And that's when you need to start taking action. Okay,
so what are 3 simple tips you have for an online fashion retailer to create and measure customer engagement?
Cool. Similar to last week. So this works with fashion retailers as with any business. So 1, know what success looks like for your customer, to identify the key milestones along the journey and set up the engagement tactics to help them achieve this. And I like to remember, there's a Japanese proverb that I love, which is, vision without action is a daydream, action without vision is a nightmare. 2, personalize your engagement wherever possible. So I know this takes more time, but in the early stages, you learn so much more and you are going to be way more successful. So when, and often when like these learnings, once you actually learn more, you can start to automate the personalizations as you grow. Thirdly, utilize your website more effectively. So how you build your website is actually an incredible way of creating engagement and learning so much about the people coming to your site, which 99% of the time is underutilized. So for example, let's say you're a fashion retailer who believes your customers are season-specific shoppers. Let's say it's spring, and on your website, you have 4 images of the 4 seasons beside each other. Under spring, you may say, spring is here, liven up my wardrobe. Under winter, having just gone, it may say winter sale now on. And you may leave summer and fall empty underneath to attract attention to those 2. Perhaps they click on spring, and then the next set of buttons are what are this year's spring colors, or update my wardrobe basics, or what's on trend this spring. If you continue with those buttons throughout the experience, it creates the perception of engagement because you start personalizing the experience for them based on what they're clicking on. And it gives you so much incredible data on your customer's experience, what they're looking for, and then how you should best engage with them.
That's a really interesting idea. So it's about putting the opportunity for engagement on your actual website and then taking the data from that and making decisions based on that data.
Absolutely.
Really simple strategy. And the other thing that I found really interesting is that, you know, as startups or as small businesses, we're constantly trying to automate things faster than they probably need to be automated. Like, you know, when you're actually sending the email yourself and you're seeing how long it takes for people to respond and what their human responses are, I think you get so much more insight into better decision making before you automate the whole process and you never see what actually happens, apart from quick open rates. And
yeah, so an example of something that you want fast is if you're doing a double opt-in. So let's say they sign up and then you get that automated email that they then accept. You want that to happen straight away, or you lose them in that moment. However, if you've provided an offer where they give you information and you're going to customize something, personalize something, and send them a card, send them a thank you, do whatever, that can take 3 weeks, because then it's another reminder. I mean, obviously you don't want it to take three weeks, but at the same time, it's really about identifying what needs to happen quickly and what can happen a little slower, and where more value gets gained if you personalize that experience for them.
Feels good to be human.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so next week we're talking about getting customers to subscribe. Can you give us some insight on what subscribe means in this instance?
Sure. So I think of subscribing as them saying yes to something. So this is a form of activation that tells you they're interested in what you offer, and it's an incredible opportunity to provide value before any money is exchanged.
Looking forward to that one, Becky. Thank you so much again for your insights, and I'll talk to you again next week.
Next week.